Alright guys, how's it going? I mean, I'm Dan MC, you know this, and this is not really a video that I normally make on my channel, but Elite Anarchy has obviously been dying and has been dead for the past few months now, and I thought that now would be a more appropriate time than ever to pretty much just talk to you all about my story on Elite Anarchy, and to just go over my accomplishments, my history, and just basically my entire backstory. There's going to be really no script for this, so I'm just going to be freeballing with here. But I know a lot of you have been asking me to do a video on my story, and I think I've put it off for long enough. My original intention was to pretty much just make a video, like a really good video, just like telling a really intense story with all of these dramatic effects and acting and LARP. But I think this is more fitting for me, just to sit down and go on a tangent about my entire history. And if you're interested, just stick around, watch it, enjoy it. If not, you can click off. It won't really hurt my feelings or anything. I'm making this because why not? And I'm gonna forget all of this eventually. So, I have a notepad with me. I've written down pretty much all of the major events that has taken place over my course of the server, and pretty much my involvement. I'll just talk about each event down the list, and we'll just see where it takes us. I have no idea how long I'll be talking, so let's just get started. Because, yeah, starting with the first item on the list, I first joined Elite Anarchy in the October of last year, 2020. Oh, yeah, I forgot you shared this. But, yeah, when I first joined the server, I was met by a player by the name of the Sosa, who ultimately helped me escape spawn, and taught me how to dupe with the TNT dupe that is still in the game. And together, me and DeSosa created a group called Saki, which was aimed to pretty much help the new players of Elite Anarchy get situated and to, I guess, to make spawn easier to escape. So if you saw my Saki video, you would obviously recognize that we did this by renovating the spawn highways and just going around placing kits everywhere, etc., etc. But we did all of this without a place to pretty much call home, so I undertook my first major build, which was not an original build. I constructed a castle based off a YouTube tutorial by, I think the YouTuber name is Blue Monkey, and it was just a basic castle. Well, I shouldn't say basic, it looked pretty sneaking good, but it wasn't my original idea, so I can't really take credit for it, but it was my first taste in building in an anarchy setting, so that kind of set me off on a roll to pretty much knock out any future major builds, which we will get to in a little bit. So, during my construction of the Castle of Saki, as I called it, I met a player by the name of Dragon101, I think his name was, and he was not a really, he was a good person, but he just had, his ambitions on the server were just not something I agreed with. And this was around the time that I met a player by the name of F5, who pretty much had the same ambitions. I was pretty close to F5 actually, but I ended up turning my back on him because he was pretty much a dictator, let's just be honest. And I grieved plenty of his bases. I'm not a griefer, but I was when I first joined the server. I'd say not a terrible one, but yeah. Dragon 101 and F5 eventually just went to war with each other, and I just played the role of a double agent, blindsiding both of them in the process. F5 quit the server, and so did Dragon 101 eventually, so I was left on my own on Elite Anarchy, just 5 people on, sadly. And, I'm trying to remember here, yeah. So after Dragon 101 left, I was pretty much on my own, so I made a base. It was like a tower in the middle of a forest off the outskirts of spawn, and I was planning on living like a nomad lifestyle, just being like a hermit and just traveling the lands looking for cool bases, ruins, all of that extra stuff, but I got bored pretty quickly and I decided to undertake my first ever major project, which was Zelda Stronghold in the February of 2020, like 4 months after I first joined the server. Zelda Stronghold was, oh man, I spent so long just renovating the end island just to prepare for the build. And then after it was renovated, I spent another day like digging out 12 blocks, 12 block deeps in a 12 block deep pit surrounded by 75 by 75 blocks. Let me rephrase that. I spent like a day digging out a 12 block deep pit of a 75 by 75 portion of the end island, which would serve as the center piece of the entire stronghold, I would say, where all of the lushness and all of the wilderness would be constructed. So that was a lot of grinding, but eventually I did complete that portion of the build and the pyramid as well. The pyramid was a lot of fun to construct, but it was a lot of glass, but thankfully, due to the dupe, it was not that difficult to create. So, during the construction of Zelda Stronghold, I learned how to make a lag machine, and I'm sure if a specific person is watching this video, he will know exactly what I mean by this, and where I'm going, I should say. And Not Fruity, this is how I met Not Fruity. I talked about Not Fruity, I've mentioned him a lot on this server, I mean, on this channel, but I don't think I've ever really talked about him. I met him when I was making my first ever lag machine. I TP'd him into like a hole and activated the lag machine, hoping to like crash his game, but it didn't crash. He just slash killed himself out of the pit, and he was pretty mad about it because it brought his game to like 1 FPS. But after that, we somehow became friends, and we stayed up so late that night just making more lag machines and just seeing how far we could push the limits of what those lag machines could do. And after that, Fruity logged off. Didn't see him until a few months later, after I finished Dr. Stronghold, and yeah, in the same month of February. But a few days after I finished Dr. Stronghold, this player by the name of Black Sheep decided to request a teleport to me, and that was a spiral, a whole. That was an ordeal. I'm just gonna say that. He, I decided to like accept the teleport request from Black Sheep like an idiot. I didn't know who he was, but I flew down into the void, like just below the void, hoping that he would just fall into the void and die. But that didn't happen. Instead, he survived the trap that I tried to pull on him and just flew up, saw Zelda Stronghold, and teleported his two friends, Explorer 13 and Sir Giraffe, and just started destroying the entire build. I was obviously pretty devastated by this, but what can you do? It's Anarchy. Your builds are gonna go at some point. It's inevitable. However, before this, I should mention that I met Vanny. And the way I met Vanny was pretty interesting. He was pretty much spamming in the Elite Anarchy chat that he was starting a group called the Raiders, and I was interested in joining. And my original plan was to kind of betray them, get their base boards, grief it, but I didn't do that. Instead, they took us to a recruit base. Somebody placed an end crystal. I don't know who it was, but somebody placed an end crystal in that base, and Vanny and Ramen. Oh yeah, Ramen. Keep an eye out for that name. You already know what's up with Ramen. He accused me of placing the end crystal. I didn't place it, but had crystal aura on, so I hit it and it exploded the entire base. So I was banned from the Raiders not even an hour after joining. So I had to let Vanny into my to Zelda Stronghold to prove that I was innocent and to show that I had no end crystals at all because I had no PvP kits whatsoever. So that was an ordeal, but I was eventually let back into the Raiders and became pretty close to Vanny. But yeah, after the griefing of Zelda Stronghold, I had already begun the construction of Mariana Fort. Oh yeah, Mariana Fort. Let's go there. I need to turn on chat. But yeah, I began the construction of Mariana Fort, which I didn't expect to be as hard as it was to build. I mean, it wasn't a hard build. It was just so much grinding it involved, and as I was beginning to drain the ocean, I had to call into my friend and Not Fruity to yeah, I called on Not Fruity to basically help me out. and I figured that he would be a great help, and he was. Me and him, sat there draining this ocean for hours. Also, here are the chords if you want to join. We drained every block of water with sponges, sand. It was a whole ordeal, but it was a blast, and it really paved the way to what this base was going to shape out to be. See right here? Mariana Fort, built by ZanMC and Not Fruity. But yeah, after we drained the ocean, we obviously built the walls around the fort, the flags, the inside, which is all lush. We built the disc. I don't think y'all really know what the disc is. I've showcased it a couple of times, but I've been avoiding it because there are a lot of signs down there, and I didn't really want the space to get exploited. But yeah, the disc, we had like black concrete going up all the way to the roof, covering it all, creating like this void effect in this area. But, and it just pretty much, I'll show a picture here, right here. It just pretty much looked like you were just sitting on a floating platform in space surrounded by chests, and this was pretty much where we kept all of our blocks, you know? Well, during the construction of this fort, the first war with ramen began, and oh man, that was interesting. Vanny wasn't really involved in this, but because he was trying to rebuild the order with ramen during this time, but me and Fruity, yeah, I'm sorry, Fruity, for throwing your name out there. I know you wanted to keep this a secret, but you don't really play anymore, so. Me and Not Fruity went to the Order HQ, touring it. At the same time, Ramen joined. I had to deal with that. He didn't really question why we were there, and he just kind of assumed we were with the Order, and we kind of gained his trust by that. So, like a week later, we logged on really early in the morning to just destroy the base. We covered it with lava and everything, and just made it entirely impossible to rebuild. Oh lord. But yeah, so that was when the first war with Ramen began. He thought Pyro Pigeon actually griefed the base, and that was pretty... I don't know why he thought that. But yeah, we then returned back to our building of Mariana Fort and finished the base around March 2021, this year. And, man, we thought the base was going to be big, but it was massive, bro. So, after Mariana... Let me check my notes for this one. Alright, so... Yeah, we finished Mariana Fort, but then we needed a new project, and it was around this time that I really began to start focusing on this channel, which has fallen off recently, but I kind of expected that with the little amount of attention I've been paying towards it, what with college and stuff going on. But yeah, after Mariana Fort, we gathered a bunch of people and created the Mariner Spawn Outpost, which was like a fun little community build, but it didn't really last a day, to be honest. But it was a lot of fun building it. But after the Mariana Fort, I need to turn this down. But yeah, after Mariana Fort, I began to focus on my YouTube channel, and it grew. I'm at 556 subs right now. I keep fluctuating between 156 and 157. So, it's been pretty steady right now, but I did grow for a little bit, and I was trying to focus on that growth. But recently I've just kind of let it fall off. Haven't really been producing great content, so I understand why it's kind of falling off. So yeah, after this main fort was complete, I wanted to make a whole little centerpiece over here. I really don't know to the extent of its destruction, but yeah, this is going to be like a whole island with like a little grotto inside filled with like illuminating crystals and everything. That will kind of connect 4 major builds together to really make this into a mega base. But I never finished it. It was annoying to build with all the water around. So, oh yeah, when I met the raiders, I should mention like a month prior to this point, 2-3 months prior to this point, I became really close to Yushir, who I'm still pretty close to now. And during this time, he made it to the end border, which I made a video over, and created a base by the name of Spaceshire. And Spaceshire it was pretty cool. It was a mega base and had a lot of players involved, including Fredbob, who threatened to leak the coords, TP people to Spaceshire, I believe, and ultimately let Yushir degrief the base, which is a shame, but I think there's a world download out there somewhere, so that's good. So after the death of Spaceshire, me and Pyropigeon, who I was beginning to grow close to, came back to Mariana and built this thing, which was supposed to be the Mariana Grove. But, like, we didn't finish this either. We griefed it. Well, Pyro didn't grief it. Me and Nutfruity griefed this base, which I will get to in a bit. But, like, it looked so cool, I'm gonna be honest. But I kind of regret not finishing this build. But it's a block game. I can always make something much better than what this was going to be anyways. So yeah, after Spaceshire was griefed, well, prior to the griefing, Yushir made it to the end corner. And he used the end corner to make a new base called Space Station 13, which he hated, so he griefed. And then the Second Raiders War began. I think prior to this, actually, but the Second Raiders War was interesting. Ramen came back, was starting the order, was kind of becoming kind of powerful, but not really. So, me and Yushir were really close to him, so we were inciting him left and right, griefing his bases, baiting him, until eventually I made a video kind of revealing everything and kind of putting the bullet, like, pulling the trigger on this whole ordeal, putting an end to it. And Ramen left the server, and didn't really return for quite a while, until recently, when he was trying to impersonate being a high operative of Elite Anarchy, and then was banned from the Elite Anarchy Discord. So, a few months after the war with Ramen, I began to stop focusing on content, focusing on school, focusing on myself. I left the Raiders clan because the Raiders clan is basically just a bunch of kids pretending to be involved in something. It's a dead server. I don't know how the Raiders can really be a thing under Vanny's leadership. Nothing bad about it, he's just very young, and I feel like he shouldn't be involved in such a toxic environment. So yeah, and then pretty much just sum it up. After I left the Raiders, me and Nutfruity decided to grief Mariana to kind of put an end to the legacy it had on the server. Ultimately, my legacy as a whole. Because Mariana and my videos were something that I was known for, but both kind of died with the server. So, rip. But yeah, that's pretty much my story on Elite Anarchy. There's a lot that I didn't really include because this video would be hours long, but I think I included all of the main bits, like my beginnings, my bases, my friends. Oh yeah, rapid fire, my friends. Here we go. Serum, Pyro, Robo, Serum, Info, Yushir, Tazi, Daisy, Not Fruity. There's just Vanny. There's so many, I can't really name them all, but those are the few that pop to my head. And Explorer 13 became my friend. Haven't talked to him for a while, but I think he became my friend. Hope so. Hope he's on the same page. But yeah, that was my story, and I hope you enjoyed it. I'm not gonna put much editing into this video, so I hope it was okay. Anyways, have a good day, guys, and I'll catch y'all next time. Goodbye!